It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, November 14th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is laying out how the Flyers turn two overtime losses into matching up in a back-to-back situation.
Are you going to do a graph on that?
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Flyers. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And Russ, we do have a back-to-back coming up this weekend against the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars. A lot of Western Conference opponents in this little stretch of games here, which makes, getting the points a little bit more like gravy. And so we're going to get into those two teams a little bit later in the show, but we got to continue to talk about where the Flyers stand right now. And there wasn't a formal practice yesterday, but a lot of guys showed up for optional, which is good.
Yeah.
They obviously do have a lot to work on. And Rick Tocchet, I think he's really interesting right now because we've talked a little bit about how more forthcoming he is than John Tortorella. It just, I think, from an X's and O's perspective, right? Like you hear a lot more from him on specific strategies about guys' individual play, where they are on the ice, what they're doing wrong or right day to day, and all the little things. And I think that's starting to become a little bit more relevant as we try and diagnose some of the problems they have.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that a coach is kind of open like that and does that. Sometimes coaches are too overprotective of their players. I feel like he's in the middle, and that's fine. I've seen him be unprotective of a player, but it takes a while. So, I mean, again, though, if this continues this play with Owen Tippett, is he going to be nice about it? No, he's not.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're starting to see what his style truly is as he gets to know these guys and as we have game evidence to look to challenge Rick Tocchet on some of these issues, right? So with Owen Tippett in particular, right now, Rick Tocchet is kind of still in that honeymoon phase to some degree because he is taking ownership of Owen Tippett's performance and saying, it's my job to get him to play the right way. It's my job to get his head back in the game, things like that. And I don't necessarily think that's true in terms of an
It's not.
accountability
He can't teach
perspective.
him. He can't teach him hockey sense.
Right.
Focus, maybe a little. Were Tippett's remarks after the last game great? No,
No.
I don't. I mean, I don't expect him to be serious like I just lost the Stanley Cup, but I think he should be thinking about his job. I mean, he's not having a good year. Like, that's the thing about Tippett. It's like sometimes he seems in this bubble where he doesn't even recognize when things aren't going well for him. Like, I guess it's just this optimistic part of him that always feels like it's going to get better. But sometimes you do have to hit rock bottom.
Right. And I think, has he hit rock bottom? I don't think so.
No.
But there's no way to know this early in the season.
We'll find out
Right?
late in the game against our next opponent. That's when we'll find out.
Right. Exactly. And, we're looking at, past 15 games into the season now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the data is starting to be meaningful. And, other than those first few games where he looked really good, it's the play away from the puck that's been the liability for this team. And, it was brought up by Jackie Spiegel, I believe, about him being a guy that needs to have consistent line mates in order to be successful. And he's not going to get that right now.
No, but the thing is, like, after 16 games, you can't have one assist. Like, you're not creating anything. And really, he's like a dead zone. It's a shot. It goes off the net, usually close to
he skates away, and that's that.
To the post or the outside. He doesn't get a rebound. It's gone. It's, who knows what happens to it after that. And that's it. Like, it's just, that's it. It's like a dead zone.
Right. And that is one of the things we've talked about with Owen Tippett pretty consistently, that he's a one and done kind of guy with his shot. And so if he does not make the shot, his value to the team is lessened significantly because he's not doing the other things.
Right. It plummets. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on for sure. Now, this early in the season to have been in 7 overtime games is a lot for the Flyers.
It is.
And there's 2 things that we have to talk about when it comes to that. Number one, practicing the system even more, right? Because we've now had like a couple in a row where it didn't go the Flyers' way. And I think that, there's something to be said for making sure you get the right guys out there and managing the puck properly. And the puck possession has been an issue in the overtime.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, again, but some of this has to do with safeness and veteranship over youth, speed, and ability. And that's a coach's choice. So this is a coaching thing. Because again, Michkov, when he gets used like third go around, usually third, fourth. I'm not even sure I've seen Andre out in an overtime. Has he been?
No.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's terrific with the puck, moving it up the ice. He can make
in the open ice, he's great.
Great passing. One of your best passers, really, from the blue line. You don't even think about utilizing him. So it's like there's a trust factor there. And it's like overtime's different. It is a different game. It's really not the NHL game when you hit overtime. It's a video game. And so, like, there's different guys for that, honestly.
Yeah. And I think they need a little bit more creativity. And honestly, like, the mistakes that have been made by the Flyers, I think have been significant enough to have caused directly the overtime losses that we've seen from them. And so that has to get cleaned up in terms of, the missed line change or a miscue or whatever, not being able to complete a pass in an effective manner, right? But you also have to look at, maybe taking a little bit more risk when you do have possession, right? And put the right guys out there so that you feel like they'll get back and make the play that they need to if it goes awry. At least if you make a mistake on an attempt to do something creative and different, like, to me, that's a lot better than just making a regular sort of possession error.
So here's the thing. Right now, Cam York has never scored an overtime goal. If AI is right, but I can't recall one in his career. And he has 2 points, it says, in overtime. Honestly, he's not an offensive threat in overtime.
No.
And teams know this. So you're at a disadvantage. Like, yes, he can make a defensive play or whatever. The other night was a freak thing. That happens. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying, if I'm going up against him and I see Cam York out there, I'm putting out a change where I'm putting out my most offensive guys because he's just going to try and get the puck out, skate it out a little bit, but I don't have to worry about him shooting. That's one less shooter on the ice.
Yeah, and that's where, to me, I'm like, put 3 forwards out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
if Cates is one
of them, or Cates
is one of them, is Cates. Yeah, exactly.
You're fine. You'll be
do
okay.
That's my take on it, is like, let's do something different, because it seems like the Flyers are going to be in this situation a lot more.
Yeah.
Moving forward there. So that is something that I think is important to keep track of as well. And one other thing that Rick Tocchet was asked about yesterday, which is important, is those blue line rotation. And they seem to have stopped the rotation. And Tocchet said he was going to do that. So, once he sort of figured it out, and it seems like this Andre Juleson pairing is turning into the third pairing. And I love that for Emil Andre. What I don't love is Adam Yinning sitting in the press box, not playing.
Right. So I think Yinning and Zamula are out of options, right? So this is a thing where if Rick Tocchett's not going to play him, Danny Briere could simply walk up to him and say, listen, I'll send him down. But just know if they get claimed, like whoever comes up isn't going to be as good as them. So if you don't play these guys and rotate them in and I send them down and they get claimed, what am I supposed to do? And honestly, and I'm not taking Briere off the hook, but that's really the way his job works.
Right. This just has to be, I think, a coaching decision at this point. I think that, Danny, I think, can make the final decision there, but Tocchet has to say, no, this is what I want you to do.
I mean, the one good thing about John was you knew when he was done with a player for that moment.
Oh, that is true.
Like that, there was no hiding it. With Tocchet, it's a little unclear.
Right. No, and I think Tocchet definitely has to be the primary decision maker here, because if he's locked into a third pairing, that's great. Happy for you. And it's honestly good in a lot of ways. I don't think it's a bad thing to have figured that out. I think that just you have to figure out what to do with Yinning and Zamula and make sure that they're either going to play or if you can send them down, you send them down and take the risk. But that's something we'll see what happens over the next couple of days and if they make any decisions on that front as well. But in the meantime, we do have 2 games coming up, one tonight against the St. Louis Blues, and then one tomorrow night against the Dallas Stars. Having the Stars be the second half of the back-to-back is a little bit rough, but we will get into all of that coming up next.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k or properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch. It's all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch helps you notice an inefficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs to help you save even more money you could turn around and invest. Don't let the financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen of the day, and thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We will, of course, be talking about this Blues game and the Stars game on our Monday show, plus have a new nemesis of the week as we do each and every Monday on the show. The St. Louis Blues are a conundrum to me a little bit, Russ. They have been a mixed bag, and the definition of a mixed bag, I would say, this season so far. And they had a 7-game losing streak, but after that wound up winning 3 of their last 5, including one of them being against the Edmonton Oilers, which, I certainly did not expect that to be the game to break that losing streak, right?
Yeah, this is how this league is, though. The margin between winning and losing early part of this season is very slim for all teams.
Yeah, it really is. And, even given all that they've been okay in the last 5 games or so, they're still 3-5-2 in their last 10. We will be on the road there, but the Blues are 3-4-3 at home so far. So it's not been a huge advantage to them thus far.
No, it sounds like it's another overtime game if you ask me. But
oh God.
It's just the numbers there. But they've been having some goaltending problems, and I think it's partially because of their defense and goaltending. I think it's a combo. Their top 4 is good, but they have a little age there. Justin Falk's getting older. Parayko is not exactly what he used to be. He's gotten a little slower, and I think that affects them to some degree. And Jordan Binnington's not playing like Four Nations Jordan Binnington. So
he is not.
So you have that. And Joel Hofer doesn't look like he's the next guy either. So right now they're off to a rough spot, but this is like a snapshot. And maybe they're already starting to turn the corner because they have started to win games and beat good teams. And this is another game where even though the Flyers are 3-2 against the Western teams, I'm not going to tell you I felt good about these Western matchups with them because they're a little iffy.
Yeah, it is interesting because even like in the times where they have won recently, they've been close games, right? Except for the one against Buffalo, but Buffalo's a whole other
that's a whole different
situation, right? So, it hasn't been one of these things where they have like a really fantastic game and then, they lose a close one. No, they win a close one where it's, not exactly the greatest game for them. And then they lose a game 6-1, for instance, against the Washington Capitals, right after they beat Edmonton. So, and Binnington played in both of those games, which was the right thing for the Blues to do, but it really shows the lack of consistency in his game.
Yeah, I think it does. And again, he's done this though. And then you could go up against him and he'll look like Four Nations Jordan Binnington. And when he's that guy, watch out. And
that there should be like an official action figure like Four Nations Jordan Binnington.
Yeah. I mean, Stanley Cup Binnington would be part of the collection too, right? It's like
I know.
I
know. But you just don't know which version of him is going to show up. And I would say that against the Flyers, the better version of him often shows up. So the Flyers are definitely going to have to get creative from a shooting perspective. And, some of the really good play we've seen recently from the Flyers in terms of really elite passing or creativity, especially with that new-ish line with Couturier and Mitchkov and Zegras. Like that's the kind of line that's going to have to, go up against Binnington to beat him.
Yeah, I think there's that. I think Jordan Kyrou is going to have an axe to grind because
a huge one
because he got benched, and he's a half a point a game against the Flyers, so he's done okay. Pavel Buchnevich has done really well against the Flyers in his career. I think that's from a lot of games he's played them a lot. So yeah, they have guys you have to watch out for. It's just I don't know. I think this game you look at it and you say, yeah, the Blues aren't having a good season. The Flyers have gotten off to a good start, but I don't trust it. And the last game, I feel, probably took a little out of them the way it ended. I think that's one of those where it's like, they got to think about that one a little bit. Like, for sure, because the elation that they felt when they thought they were going to be on the road to a win and then have it go the other way, that takes a little getting over.
Right. And I think, one of the other things that's true about the Blues and the Stars for that matter is that they tend to get really good high danger chance rates in their shots, that these guys are very skilled, even if, collectively as a team and, from a defensive perspective, like they're not getting it done. When they do get shots, they're generally very good ones. And so I think the Flyers team defense is going to have to be a little bit more attentive here.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't want this situation because of the way he skates. He's not Connor McDavid, but again, with Jordan Kyrou, if you're out there having to defend him in overtime on the road, it makes it tough. So my feeling is try and win this in regulation. Last game, I think they could have at least made that extra jolt. And if you don't, it could come back and bite you. Again, there's going to be a point in the season, and this is what happened in first year of John, of Torts. Some of those games that used to go to overtime, they couldn't let go to overtime anymore because they needed the points. So it's one of those things where you feel okay for a while getting the point here, the point there. Hey, look, we got points in 4 games. Then all of a sudden, they become a little more hollow when you just get in the one. And so, that's the thing you have to kind of watch out for. The regulation wins is still something that I look at.
Yeah, it'll be good to get back on the horse. I just think that's important and get back in the in the W column, especially given that there's a back-to-back, and the second half of which being against the Dallas Stars, who have been a little bit more of a mixed bag, I think, than expected thus far, but are still a very, very good team and are doing well out west. So we are going to talk about them coming up next. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, my energy, my mood, and even my skin. That's why I've been using DripDrop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. DripDrop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. And I work out a lot. I like using DripDrop as part of my daily routine. I'll mix a packet in the morning before I go to the gym to make sure I have the right level of energy to power through that spin class or my weights day. My go-to flavor is the zero sugar strawberry lemonade. It's become my secret weapon for staying hydrated, which is so important. Like I said, it helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly just better overall. Right now, DripDrop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with DripDrop. Hockey season is well underway, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can sometimes be a headache between waiting in online queues, your surprise fees, and prices that'll jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on the Flyers. And that's where Gametime comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Plus, I could see exactly what seat views look like before I buy tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are also a game changer. You pick the section, Gametime picks your seats, you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. And I recently used Gametime to grab seats for a concert. It could not have been simpler. I had great seats in minutes. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. So, Russ, the Dallas Stars, they are currently in second in the Central, unlike the Blues, who were at the other end of the division. 7-1-2 in their last 10 games before last night's game against Montreal, who are just playing like gangbusters. So, we're recording this before we know the results of that game, but they are also 5-3-1 at home. So again, the opposite of the St. Louis Blues in terms of their home ice advantage. They're one of the best power plays in the league, and they have a lot of the top scorers there too.
Yeah, I mean, the power play is deadly. You have to worry about Wyatt Johnston. You have to worry about Mikko Rantanen, especially on the power play. I don't care how good your penalty kill is. These guys could be lethal. And they have Jason Robertson. They have size. They have speed. When a team with size and speed goes up against the Flyers, that's usually trouble for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's going to be a tough matchup no matter what they do. And especially being on that second half of the back-to-back, which, you can't hold back against St. Louis at all. But maybe, this is an opportunity to do some of that blue line rotation that we were talking about and get some fresh legs in there against the Stars.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you should do it. It makes sense. You're going to go up against a really top team, a team that's going to make you skate a lot. They're going to have the puck a lot. So, yeah, it's a hard matchup. It's a well-coached team. This is one where, Dallas Stars could win the Stanley Cup. The one thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see comments like the Flyers were going to draft Miro Heiskanen and they didn't. Most teams were not going to draft Miro Heiskanen. They weren't. They weren't going to take a chance on him. And there were very few teams that wanted to take a chance on him.
I mean, that's absolutely true. I don't know that people are hanging on to that
Yeah,
anymore,
there's that whole, Yeah, I've seen discussion online about it. Now I don't know if it'll come up this game, but that's
Yeah,
it.
I guess we will see there. But you know, the other problem here, well, I guess problem versus opportunity, we'll say here, is that, we talked about the power play for Dallas being so strong, that going up against the Flyers penalty kill. We talked about that before the Oilers game. And, the Flyers did okay, but not, uh, it wasn't perfect. But I think that is going to be one of the more interesting aspects to this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, again, I think this game has the potential to be high scoring. I think the Flyers defense isn't going to be what it normally is. We don't know who exactly will be in net.
Right.
So I think this is going to be higher scoring than what we're used to seeing.
I think it very well could be. I think just because of the nature of the pace of play that Dallas has,
Right.
it's going to be a lot of north-south versus east-west in this game. And so if the right Flyers can take advantage of that pace. Now this is a perfect game for Owen Tippett to get back into the swing of things, to utilize his speed and maybe take advantage of it. We'll see if Rick Tocchet decides to healthy scratch him or not. I doubt he will, but
no, he probably won't. But
if he does that against St. Louis and then comes back into this game, I mean,
could be a help.
It could be a tremendous help to have fresh legs, a fresh perspective, and be involved in a track meet kind of game that could work to Owen Tippett's advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, this is not an easy swing. I don't care what the Blues record is. They're going to play a tough game.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the Blues are going to be a slog, and this is going to be the exact opposite of that. And that's what makes it a challenge, being on the second half of the back-to-back.
Yep. This is one of those where you kind of see where they're at in the early going here.
Yeah. But I think, the other aspect of it is that, expectations on Dallas are so high right now that, and they've just been like a bridesmaid kind of team that for them to, go through the slog of the regular season just to try and make another run at it. I think there's a lot on the line for this team on a day-to-day basis. And so, swatting a team like the Philadelphia Flyers along the way has got to just be kind of par for the course for them.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, expectations are sky high in Dallas. I mean, this isn't the Dallas Cowboys.
I would certainly hope not. But, I think this is going to be a real litmus test for the Flyers.
Yeah.
Can they bring their A game against a team like Dallas when they did not against Edmonton? And I think they're going to really have to see if the lessons from the Edmonton game were learned in terms of playing the full 60. And even if you come out strong, to be able to continue that through the rest of that first period, the second period, and really get, they need more shots on goal on this team.
Yeah. The one thing that they have going for them is they're going to be in the same time zone on the back-to-back. So they're lucky about that.
Yeah, I think that will be, and it's not that long a trip from St. Louis to Dallas either.
So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay.
No.
Yeah, from a rest perspective. But I think we're going to have a lot to talk about on the Monday show when we recap these games. I think there's going to be a lot of drama here, and hopefully we'll get some Flyers W's here, which are very, very important. And we will be back to talk about them on the Monday show. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. You can send in those mailbag questions or Flyers thoughts to any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen. Today, for your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. It's every game, every night, until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. You can get local analysis on a national scale with NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.